It's like medieval times. You know, in medieval times, they chop off the head. Who ever heard of this until a couple of years ago?
The product of terrorism is not death, it's not destruction, it's fear. And it's irrational fear. If you talk about people who have been who've died at the hands of terrorists on U.S. soil in the last 14 years, more have died through lightning strikes. But terrorism is about irrationality. Fear is the most lucrative political emotion. And politicians seize on fear because it's so powerful.
Think about the mothers who will take those children tomorrow morning to the bus stop, wondering whether their children will arrive back on that bus safe and sound.
You're going to have more World Trade Centers. It's going to get worse and worse, folks.
And once you've essentially established that climate of fear where the danger is perceived as enormous and imminent, then of course it's much easier to justify any number of activities.
Suspend all refugees for 3 years.
Total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
Whenever anything happens anywhere, it becomes a 24/7 cable news frenzy. And in order to sort of keep eyeballs glued to the screen, you will have this constant drumbeat of, are you scared enough, coming out of CNN and Fox and lots of other places.
We gotta start profiling when people act like a terrorist, when people start growing that facial hair around their chin.
The end of the world is their lotto ticket, and they only need to get it right once.
And this is, of course, precisely what ISIS wants. It wants as many people as possible watching the things they've been able to do and blowing it out of all proportion. And it seems to me until we get ahead of that particular problem as well, we are playing right into their hand.
Really what ISIS is doing is, they're doing attacks across the region that give them, sort of a public relations victory, a victory that allows them to recruit more jihadists, a victory that allows them to show that they're successful and really makes them stronger inside the paradigm they're in. I mean, anytime they scare us and anytime they prevent Americans from doing something, or they shut down Western Europe, at some level they have success because it brings more jihadists towards them.
They know they can't defeat us on the battlefield. ISIL fighters were part of the insurgency that we faced in Iraq. But they also know that if we occupy foreign lands, they can maintain insurgencies for years.
Terrorism has always been a weapon of the weak. It's not a weapon used by powerful states who can accomplish their aims in other ways. It's done by relatively weak organizations. And by any objective standard, ISIS is still a remarkably weak organization, despite what we occasionally read.
There are certainly things that I think in the United States that we should be doing more of to protect this country, because if we can prove we can protect Americans, it makes what's happening in the region less important. Obviously we live in a country right now that you can't get an airplane because you're on a terror watch list, but you can go buy an AK-47 at Walmart. You can walk down the road and you can shoot everybody you want. I mean, in 2010, Al-Qaeda did a recruiting poster about our gun laws.
Muslims in the West have to remember that they are perfectly placed to play an important and decisive part in the jihad against the Zionists and Crusaders. America is absolutely awash with easily obtainable firearms. You can go down to a gun show at the local convention center and come away with a fully automatic assault rifle without a background check and most likely without having to show an identification card. So what are you waiting for?
We really need to get serious about talking about our gun situation here in America, which fuels not just terrorism, but much more death than terrorism is causing here.
I know there are some who reject any gun safety measures, but the fact is that our intelligence and law enforcement agencies, no matter how effective they are, cannot identify every would-be mass shooter. What we can do, and must do, is make it harder for them to kill.
People feel what they feel, and fear is a primary emotion. Some of this stuff is really scary, but let's not let the terrorists win here. Let's take that fear and that reasonable fear and do something with it.